Stop reaching for that bottle of anti-inflammatories the second your dog starts moving like an old man. If you're seeing your dog is slowing on the stairs, sitting down halfway through a walk, or taking that long stiff pause before he gets up off the floor, the thing most owners do next is exactly the thing that keeps him hurting longer than he has to. There is a spice sitting in your kitchen right now with real peer-reviewed anti-inflammatory action inside a dog's joint. It works on the same inflammatory switch a prescription targets. But here's the part almost nobody gets right. The way you've been told to give it to your dog makes it nearly useless, and I'm going to show you the version that actually reaches the joint. I'm Dr. Rachel Nolan, a small animal vet. I've spent thousands of appointments watching pet parents miss the same warning signs. So I made this channel to teach you the ones that actually save your dog's life. Let me hand you a few things fast, because you need them before we go anywhere near the fix. First, the stiffness you're calling just age is inflammation. Osteoarthritis is not your dog's joints wearing out quietly. It's an active, inflamed process, and inflammation is a chemical event you can push on. Second, the molecule doing the damage has a name. Curcumin, the yellow-orange fraction of turmeric, has been shown in the lab to shut down NF-κB, the master switch that turns on inflammation, and to pull down TNF-alpha, one of the loudest inflammatory signals in the body. That's not folklore, that's the mechanism. Third, and this is the one that stings, the turmeric in your spice rack barely gets into your dog at all. In the words of one canine cancer researcher who reviewed this exact question, most of it simply passes right through your dog. You could stir a spoonful into his dinner every night for a year and reach almost nothing. Fourth, the famous fix for that, the just add black pepper trick, is built on a number that's been quietly overstated for 25 years. So before you copy some golden paste recipe off the internet, let me tell you what the actual studies found, because the real story is better and more honest than the hype. Here's what most owners are confidently wrong about. They think the choice is binary. Either you do nothing and watch your dog get stiffer, or you commit him to a lifelong prescription with a list of side effects. And when the stiffness gets bad enough, a lot of well-meaning owners panic and reach into their own medicine cabinet. The human anti-inflammatories, the ibuprofen, the naproxen, I need to stop you there. Those human drugs are genuinely dangerous to dogs, and that instinct is where I see real harm walk into my clinic. But the belief underneath it that there's nothing between nothing and a strong daily drug, that's the wrong belief. There is a middle. It's a supplement with published canine trials behind it. It is not a replacement for your vet's prescription, and I'll be straight with you about exactly how far the evidence goes. But dismissing it as kitchen witchery is just as wrong as treating it like a cure. The truth lives in between, and that's where good medicine usually is. So let's go inside the joint. A healthy joint glides. In arthritis, the cartilage frays, the body reads that as damage, and it floods the joint with inflammatory messengers. TNF-alpha is one of the chief ones. It tells more inflammatory cells to show up, which produces more of the enzymes that chew cartilage, which produces more damage. It's a loop that feeds itself, and once it's running, rest alone doesn't switch it off. Curcumin's whole appeal is that it interrupts that loop at the top. In a small mechanistic study of 12 dogs, curcumin inhibited the proliferation of the inflammatory cells called macrophages, downregulated TNF-alpha, and even nudged the body's clot-clearing system. So the biology is real and it points the right way. Now, the honest catch, and I promise you the honesty is the point of this channel. Curcumin is a nightmare to absorb. Swallowed on its own, it barely crosses out of the gut into the blood. That's why the plain spice fails. The workaround everyone quotes comes from a 1998 study by a researcher named Schober, which reported that adding piperine, the active compound in black pepper, boosted curcumin absorption by up to 2,000% in people. That number gets repeated everywhere, but the UK's own toxicology committee flagged a problem. In that study, the control group's blood levels were too low to even measure, so a 2,000% jump is partly an artifact of comparing against nothing. More careful work since puts the real black pepper boost closer to threefold in humans. Still meaningful, just not magic. Fat helps too, because curcumin dissolves in fat, not water, and in dogs specifically, absorption-enhanced forms like a beta-cyclodextrin complex have improved uptake by over 200% in beagles. Hold on to that because it changes what the right version actually is. Let me show you what this looks like in practice, because the studies in the exam room don't always say the same thing, and you deserve both. A few years back, a client brought in a boxer mix, I'll call him Duke, 9 years old, stiff in both hips, the classic slow to rise senior. His owner had been faithfully sprinkling turmeric powder on his food for months and was heartbroken that it wasn't working. And she was right that it wasn't, because she was using the raw spice with no fat and no pepper, the exact version the research says mostly passes straight through. We didn't add a drug. We switched her to a properly formulated, absorbable curcumin given with his meals, and we set honest expectations. Over the following weeks, his owner reported he was going up the stairs without that long hesitation at the bottom. That tracks with the best canine data we have. In a 2026 trial published in Frontiers in Veterinary Science, dogs on a standardized turmeric extract had their owners report roughly a 39% improvement in general activity and nearly 43% less limping during light movement over 6 weeks. But here's the story I tell right alongside it, because a good vet shows you the trials that disagree. Two of the most rigorous dog studies ever done on turmeric put dogs on a force plate, a pressure sensor that measures objectively how much weight the dog is actually putting through the leg. No opinion, no hope, just physics. In Innes's 2003 trial out of the University of Liverpool, 54 dogs, the force plate numbers showed no statistically significant difference from placebo. The investigators thought the dogs looked better, but the owner's own assessment didn't quite reach significance. In Comblaine's 2017 trial, same story. The hard ground reaction force measurements didn't move, even though pain on manipulation dropped in the supplement group. Sit with that, honestly. The soft measures, how the dog looks to a hopeful owner, how it feels to a vet, improved. The unbiased machine often didn't. That gap is exactly where placebo and wishful thinking live, and I'm not going to pretend it away. So what I tell my clients is this: turmeric can genuinely reduce the pain your dog feels and shows, and for a lot of stiff seniors, that's a real quality of life win. It is not proven to rebuild the joint or reverse the disease, and anyone selling it to you that way is lying. So here's what you actually do. Not a vague try turmeric, a real protocol. For a stiff senior dog, you're aiming for roughly 15 to 20 milligrams of curcumin per kilogram of body weight once a day with food. And I want you to notice the word curcumin, not turmeric, because turmeric root is only somewhere between 2 and 5% curcumin by weight in most commercial powder. You cannot get there with a pinch of spice. You need a concentrated, standardized curcumin product that tells you the curcumin content on the label. Give it with a meal that has some fat in it. A teaspoon of coconut oil for a medium dog is plenty, and with a small amount of black pepper, because that piperine, even at its honest threefold rather than the mythical 20-fold, still helps. Better still, choose a formulation that's already been made bioavailable, the phytosome, cyclodextrin, or water-soluble extracts, because those are the exact forms the successful trials used, including that 2026 study, which dosed a standardized extract at 300 milligrams per 20 kilograms of dog once daily. That is the honest gap I promised you. The homemade golden paste borrows its credibility from studies that never used golden paste. They used the good stuff. So use the good stuff, give it daily with breakfast, and give it time. The trials ran their improvements over roughly 6 weeks, so judge it at the 4 to 6 week mark, not on day 3. Watch the specific things: the pause before rising, the willingness to jump, the pace at the end of the walk. If you want to take this a step further, this is what I do for my own senior dog. I wouldn't lean on turmeric alone. The 2026 trial that looked good compared its extract against a glucosamine and chondroitin joint product, and turmeric held its own, which tells me they're playing in the same league, not that one beats the other. So I'd stack a bioavailable curcumin on top of the foundational joint support your vet already recommends. Keep the dog lean, because every extra pound is load on an inflamed joint. And keep him moving gently and daily, because a joint that stops moving stiffens faster than one that keeps a soft, regular rhythm. Now, the part I will not let you skip, because turmeric is not automatically safe just because it's natural. Curcumin thins the blood. If your dog is on any blood thinning medication, or has a bleeding disorder, or this one matters, has any mass that could be a hemangiosarcoma, or has surgery or a dental coming up, you do not start turmeric without talking to your vet first. Stop it a week before any planned procedure. It can cause GI upset. If you see loose yellow stool, back the dose off. And if your dog has ever had oxalate bladder stones, avoid turmeric. It raises urinary oxalate and can feed exactly that kind of stone. One more that catches people out. Do not grab a human turmeric supplement off your own shelf and assume it's fine. Some are sweetened or coated with xylitol, which is flat out toxic to dogs. Read the label like it matters, because it does. And the biggest one, if your dog is already on a prescribed anti-inflammatory like carprofen or meloxicam, turmeric does not replace it. Do not stop that drug and swap in a spice. That's how a comfortable dog ends up in uncontrolled pain. Turmeric is the thing you add alongside, with your vet's blessing, never the thing you quietly substitute. Then there are the signs that mean skip the kitchen entirely and get to a clinic now. A leg your dog suddenly won't bear any weight on at all, pale gums, a swollen and painful belly, or a dog that's collapsed or crying out. Those are not supplement problems. Those are today problems. So here's where this leaves you. Not a miracle and not nothing, a real low-cost, food-based way to take some genuine inflammatory load off an aching senior dog. Done in the one form that actually reaches the joint with your eyes open about exactly what it can and can't do. That honesty is the whole point. Doing this right, at the correct dose, in the absorbable form, with the safety catches respected, that's something maybe 5% of dog owners will ever bother to understand. You now do. If Rachel just gave you a smarter, cheaper first step for your stiff old friend, hit that like button so YouTube shows this to another owner whose dog is struggling on the stairs tonight. And subscribe. I put a new one of these out every few days, one organ, one honest fix at a time. Then tell me down in the comments, what's your senior dog's name and where does he stiffen up first? I read them, and give your dog a big kiss for me.